Well, we're back with segment 3 of our post-analysis of the Republican convention with Dana Dougherty Swanson and Stan Escudero. And Dana, you were at the convention. What about the, since we talked about Clint Eastwood, and obviously we need to get to the more important Republican speakers themselves, let's talk about Condoleezza Rice. What a powerful speech. Her mom told her, well, it's okay, I understand you can't get a hamburger at the local eatery, but someday you could be president of the United States. And she said, I didn't become president, but I was Secretary of State. And it just, I know how I felt. How about you?
To me, I thought, like you said, it was a very powerful speech, and it was also teaching that her parents instilled in her a fight for herself, that to make the opportunities in this life, that you have the power within yourself to make opportunities. And that's what she's done her whole life, is that she has went and gotten the education, she has went and believed in herself. And this was not about entitlements, this was about when you believe in yourself and when you want to make those opportunities.
And she, so much class.
Yeah.
She wasn't yelling, she was very dignified. She's always low-key, almost monotone, but she makes a strong point. What kind of energy did that bring to you when she was up there in terms of bringing the convention into forward movement there?
We were all excited about her speech, and like I said, she was very powerful, but in a very, like you said, not yelling. It was she has a dignified manner about her, and this wonderful presence about her, that she just oozes the energy, and we were just all enthralled with her speech.
And there was Mia Love, the young African-American woman. She's running for a seat in Congress. Do you remember what state? I can't remember.
I believe she's Utah.
She's the mayor of Saratoga Springs, Utah.
Yeah, and then of course there was Governor Martinez of New Mexico. No need to talk about how great she was. Stan, you've been a foreign diplomat most of your life. That's your claim to fame. Tell us the nation states that you were pretty much assigned to.
Well, over the years, Pakistan, India, Iran, both before and during the revolution, Egypt, Niger, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, Tajikistan, lots.
And what presidents were those under?
Well, starting with Lyndon Johnson, every president between Johnson through the Clinton administration. As I served the presidency, not the individual president. Although I have to say that had I still been an ambassador or a professional diplomat and Obama were elected, I would have resigned. I will not serve a communist.
Well, off track for a second and away from the convention, but what about the thing about the Osama bin Laden, the takeout with the Navy SEALs, that the author and the State Department now getting on this guy's case?
Well, I haven't read the book, but
seems a little heavy-handed.
To the degree that that the author actually did expose classified information, which he agreed, and we all agreed, not to expose when he signed on. We all signed an oath to that effect. Then he is subject to legal penalties. Now, you can make the argument, and many people do, that the White House isn't trying very hard to find the people who leaked far more significant and substantive classified data with regard to the Osama bin Laden raid and a number of other things that we've done, Stuxnet and other things. But I suppose that's because that would require an investigation conducted by the Department of Justice, which is not likely to investigate.
But back to Condoleezza Rice, and your experience in foreign service. What about her presentation to you, the experience in moving forward, and could she potentially be Secretary of State under the Romney administration?
Well, of course she could if she wanted it. First of all, let me say I knew her slightly when she was a staffer on the National Security Council during the first Bush administration. She, even at that time, had she was a Soviet expert, and she had the reputation of being a person with an incredible depth of understanding. Just absolute, total dedication to her job and to the country. And as her career advanced, she has certainly demonstrated the truth of those estimates in her speech, quite apart from the personal aspects of which I think were very important. What struck me was the way in which she emphasized a fundamental weakness of Obama's foreign policy and what has been a traditional strength of American foreign policy and would be at the core of the Romney policy, and that is that the United States is the basic guarantor of the world against chaos. We cannot lead from behind and expect to avoid chaos. If we are to continue, not to put too fine a point on it, to save the world, but more to the point, to advance American interests, we must lead, as we always have, from the front. The world looks to us, whether they like it or not. They look to us for leadership, and we have to provide it.
Let me turn to Dana on that, because those are good points. When she was speaking, did you get a sense of security, kind of like, she's in charge. She knows what she's talking about. And do you think that she would be very, I mean, Romney's known for his budgetary, his fiscal issues, leadership. Paul Ryan, which we'll get to in a second, clearly budgetary issues and experience in Congress. But there doesn't seem to be that foreign service person that stands out, other than Condoleezza Rice. How important do you think she would be to that ticket?
I think she'd be a wonderful asset, because I think Romney is a very wise man in knowing to surround himself with people that will benefit the administration. And that when he wins the White House, that he will surround himself with people that if he doesn't have the expertise, he will bring in the people with the expertise.
Now, a few weeks...
Henry,
go ahead, sure, please, quickly.
If I were Romney and in that situation, I don't think I would offer her the job of Secretary of State. She'd certainly do it. She has done it very, very well. But I think I would offer her the position of National Security Advisor.
Or how about Defense Secretary?
I think she'd be more interested in National Security Advisor, and in the right hands, that's a much more powerful position than Secretary of State.
Well, let me ask you this, Paul Ryan, and very briefly, please, because we're running out of time in a second. Did he convince you that he was a good choice? If there were any doubts, were there after you left the convention? Oh,
I think he's an excellent choice, and I think he's also going to be able to be kind of a heavy hitter against the Obama administration.
He looks like the attack dog, and he looks like he'd be strong at that.
And also, with him talking about his mother, about her going back to school, being a small business owner, things like that, he's also letting people know he would never hurt his mom regarding Medicaid.
As he did when he came to the Villages a couple of weeks ago with his mom. Stan, Paul Ryan, very quickly.
Yeah. I think since Ryan was nominated vice president, I think the momentum has shifted over to the Romney campaign. I think Romney has moved up in the polls now about 7% since Ryan's nomination and in the aftermath of the convention. A lot of this was due to Ryan. I think the American people understand that the core of the problem we face is the debt, the level of government spending, the annual deficit. These are incredibly complex issues. Nobody understands them better than Paul Ryan. Nobody has the guts to put forward a solution except Paul Ryan. And Ryan's solution, the current one, the one that is morphing into the Romney solution, that will work.
Almost to the opposite, though, that is a similar thing, but totally politically opposite. And Dan, it might be before your time, although ironically you were in the Minneapolis convention 4 years ago. Fritz Mondale, when he was first brought in by was it Jimmy Carter, that was something that was a good number 2 choice. A lot of experience in the Senate, and Ryan now 3 terms in Congress.
7.
7. Wow, that's even more impressive. With that said, Marco Rubio obviously is a rock star. Right choice, Ryan instead of Rubio, although I think everyone agrees Rubio.
Well, I think both of them would have been splendid choices. I think Rubio certainly would have delivered Florida, although I suspect Romney will win Florida anyway. And I think that he too could have certainly advanced the cause, because he is a marvelous orator and rhetorician. And I think he would have traveled the country convincing large numbers of people. Ryan does the same thing, but in a more technical way.
Well, let me ask you this. You were there, and I keep saying you were there, but you were. I mean, you're our expert. You heard Condoleezza Rice speak. You heard some of the earlier speakers, Governor Martinez of New Mexico, Ian Love, some others. Certainly Mitt Romney's wife, Mrs. Ann Romney. But Marco Rubio, what is so different? Why is he such, even now, that aura, that rock star?
Well, Marco Rubio, over the years I was involved a lot with the Young Republicans. He was always open, you know, he did a lot of our Young Republicans events. He was always warm, friendly. He has such a great family, but also his story. His story is so personal about his parents coming to America, his parents working hard, his father is a bartender, his mother doing housekeeping and things like that. And this is really a story about you don't have to come from a rich family to make it in America.
All right, let me ask you both this, and very quickly, yes or no, no big explanations because we're really running out of time. Obviously, Rubio didn't get the nod. I have a feeling inside he didn't want it to begin with because he was so new to the, and he didn't want to be blamed if Romney went down in flames. And let's be real about this, a lot of conservatives weren't exactly thrilled with Romney to begin with, although they have since embraced him because of his strengths. And obviously anybody, if they're Obama these days, I think a conservative is going to rally around a moderate like Mitt Romney. But let's say Romney doesn't get it. Let's just say, I know you're angry looking at me, but let's say he doesn't get it.
Yeah, we can talk about impossibilities if you want.
Okay, but look at it this way. You've got Paul Ryan, who would be on a losing ticket, a young, articulate man, strong, although previous vice presidents on failed tickets have never really, Joe, what's his name, Gore's running mate there from Connecticut.
Lieberman?
Lieberman. You know, they don't really bring up too strongly, but could Rubio be the instant star that would, okay, he's got 4 years, he would have his time in the Senate. Would he be the natural to say he's the next John Kennedy type?
I would think so, and I think right now would be, for him, would be too soon, because then people would say, well, he hasn't had enough experience,
Right.
and that's what we've been saying with Obama, so he needs more experience, and then...
But my point is that if he waits, it doesn't have to be number 2. He could be the president, right?
Of course he could. And I think that, again, as you said, depending on how things work out, Rubio could very easily be the presidential candidate of the Republican Party in either 2016 or 2020.